think start from today, I think you guys may enjoy this. We will not need to analyze too much about the mind, but still relate to the practice. Let's see. What's number 10, right?
Number 10.
So how you are doing? Most of you turn in your report, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So I build the class. The momentum for the class is that first we study about the early meditation theories and practice, and later on it spread to the Far East, China, Japan, and so forth. So now today we start about that. We talk about Zen, or Chan tradition. That's when Buddhism started to spread to the East, to the Far East. You would see that meditation was, you can say, modified in different ways, but still the essence the same. Okay, so we know, right, the historical Buddha, and this is where Buddhism spread out here. We start from here. So this is the Mahayana, and this is Theravada. Again, Mahayana, Theravada means, you can say, the way of elders, or conservative one, the one that follow the Buddha ways. That means, let's say, during Buddha times, he went out with his disciple to beg for food. Amsra, what do you call? And for the Theravada tradition, they follow that way. That's every day. They're not supposed to cook up the temple, but they go out to beg for food. They follow always. That's for the Theravada, or the way of the elders, or conservative ways, ancient way, ancient practice. But the Mahayana is quite different. We don't go out to beg for food. Imagine that I stand in the corner and hold the bowl. I don't know whether you think about, right? So it's quite different. So Mahayana is in the way that is more adaptable traditions, and they deal with the practice too. And it starts around the 1st century CE, and it spread to Tibet in the 8th century, and from China it spread to Korea, and so forth. So you see that. Okay. So I want to give you a general idea why and how Zen tradition in the Far East was initiated, so that you can have the broader idea. Otherwise, be confused. Yeah, it stems to the same principle, the right view, wisdom, nirvana, and the still last thing that we just discussed, the achievement up to the 8 jhanas, and based upon the 8-fold paths to attain the enlightenment, to attain what we call nirvana. That's what we talked about recently. So again, nirvana or nibbana is just the similar words. This one is in Pali. Nibbana is sacred, so that's just the same meaning. The extinction of all greed, hatred, and delusion is unconditional dharma, not be conditioned by any cause, not subject to any becoming, changing state, and the solution is permanent happiness and non-self. That's what it's about. So that's the state of mind, nirvana or nibbana. And then here, so it's related to Buddha attained that type of state of mind and got out that kind of cycle, samsara cycle, or anyone else can do that too. And of course, during the Buddha time, so many of his disciples, monks and nuns, they go to that state of mind. That is what you that the 4 stages of arhatship. And even during the Buddha times, whenever he gave a lecture, most of the time when he gave a lecture is to lay people. Even some of the lay people, they could be what they call stream entrance, attend that kind of first stage or second stage, and up to the 3rd stage of arhatship, but not the last one. So when they cut off all the doubts, when they recognize the impermanence of the self, this means no true self. This is 2 important factors, of course, belief in the ritual. So basically, if someone recognizes no real self in themselves, as well as the faith and the Buddha's teaching, that's what called the first day of arhatship there. Now here, probably it's for you guys to lofty, but remember, look around, look even within ourselves. The problems just start within ourselves. Start with the attachment to the ego. You got my points? Let's say someone give you hard times. If someone says something about you, but if you don't pay attention, if you let those words go, there's not much concern. But if you say, wow, he or she said something about me, mine, and so forth, that's where the problem comes from. You understand that? So the idea is when you reach to that state of mind, there's just no attachment to the self, physically, mentally, and spiritually, you enter that state of mind. And this, based on Buddha's teaching, there's no suffering, because if someone harm you and so forth, if you don't have any kind of resentment, you'll be free from those kind of emotions, those kind of feelings. So that's the idea. Yes?
So number 3, belief in religious rituals. So can a Christian or a Muslim or a Jewish person also be a Buddhist?
Well, actually, this home, they call the converses, not judo, but the combination of the combination of a Jewish people can be a Buddhist too. Mm-hmm. Let me type it, whether it's judo, is that spelled Jews?
Yes. Yeah. Jew Buddhist jokes.
And they have the terms. They have the terms for that one.
There's a name for a Jewish Buddhist?
Yeah, there's a term. Yeah, term for the one who is Buddhist and Jewish.
Jubu.
Oh, Jubu, that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
Jubu.
You a Jubu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, they call Jubu. So anyway.
It's like a string.
It sounds like a monster underneath.
So, someone view Buddhism is not religion. It's just a way of life, just philosophy, just psychology.
Exactly.
So anyone can utilize Buddhist practice. And almost every year, one of my Catholic friends, his Catholic priest, invite me either to go to his center, as a Catholic center, to give lecture about meditations, or he would take his followers to come to my temple to do meditations. So in Buddhist view, there's no problem at all. And any people from different traditions could learn and practice Buddhism. There is no barrier, no obstruction. It's up to that individual, that person. So that's, I think, that Jubu. Yeah, because many of them keep their own tradition and practice Buddhism too. Anyway, so that because we have a spirit that when you come to the temple, you don't need to be Buddhist to do the prayer, to do meditation. This is just in the natural way of life, and that's why I told you that you come and go by yourself. You come and go with your own will. So that's why even for the Buddhists, we don't require them to come to temple every Sunday. Right. Of course, we set up for convenience the schedule, right? Most of the temple around here, they open on Sunday. This is convenient for people because most people have a weekend off, right? So it's for convenience. And some of people, they could come to the temple anytime. Like at my temple, some of them, they may have been retired, and they can come to do the prayer every Wednesday morning. So that's a flexibility there. Yeah. Thank you. All right, so just go over again. There's a stage. I want to emphasize on this kind of stages because when we go to Zen tradition, it's a little bit different. So don't be surprised. Right here, and this is the what they call the Theravada Buddhism, the way of elders. So they focus or follow the old ways, right? For individual effort, and they don't do much about the prayer. But actually, if you visit Thailand, you will see that Burma and so forth. They still do the prayer too, but not emphasis much. Okay, and here when Buddhism spread to actually start in India, the Mahayana traditions is around the first century CE, and they start to spread to China. There's a right here, and Narayana is the one who initiated that type of traditions. The emptiness, the middle way, and so forth, and then from there on they have formal traditions. In stuff from India, it's middle way, it's my consciousness only. That is the Vajrayana. This is Pure Land. This is Buddhist tradition. It started to spread China, Japan, and so forth. And Mahayana has been great, bigger up to carry more people. It's like when you ride a motorcycle, right? You can ride only one or two, that's all, right? But when you ride a small car, compact car, you can ride 4. If you have a van, you have up to 7 or 12. So Mahayana is like that. So basically, the meaning is when you do the practice, you can help others. Like while you're here, whichever major you are, you can be TA to help other students to learn too. So that's the idea. And this is I just want to give you a brief information, a comparison. Right? We live, practice, scripture. Most of scripture is still the same, but from Mahayana tradition, it's more have some kind of elaborations and especially for the like the Dota Sutra, the daughter of the Flower Adornment Sutra. Here, let me go back to the question that you, the inquiry that you put last time. Why is too much repetition, right? In the Pali traditions, even me, at first, when I start to read the Buddhist Sutra, it's boring. It's a repetition. But this is, remember I told you, that's the way they memorize in the past. Right? It's easy, like I told you that, in order to remember whatever we do today, right? So you can start to write out, Today I go to school, to this school, and the next one, today I go to this school, and this room and so forth. You can add up so that it's easy to remember. But for Mahayana Sutra, it's different. It's right in the way that they like the poetries, the poems, poetries, so that when people read, it's just, they have more interest in reading instead of repetition that addresses them. And again, the practice the same meditation, belief in human individual, and here Mahayana is human relate to other people. To whichever thing we do here, it affects to others. Here is wisdom, and the and the ultimate goal is to become arhat, to get out of the cycle. That's all. To enter nirvana. That means you transform completely from the emotional fluctuation. That's all. That's for yourself. But in Mahayana tradition, it's quite different. You reach the highest, ultimate goal. That's what we call Buddhahood, or become Buddha. That's the difference there. So I want to give you this kind of general information, and this is the idea here. This is in Sri Lanka. This is more in the Southeast Asia country, moved to the Far East for teachings, philosophy, intense, enlightenment here in Mahayana can be achieved any place. And somehow, of course, now the insight of the Mahayana tradition is start from the tradition. Still, it's some kind of adaptation from the Mahayana one. Like when you walk in, remember, we can be mindful, right? Be mindful, like in when we do the practice, right? You may be concerned that you may twist your ankles, you may hit someone else, but still, that's why when you do the practice of walking, you be mindful of walking, of eating, and so forth. So you apply the mindfulness practice in any aspects of life. That's what it's about. It's the same thing too. I just want to go over again. The practice, the focus, and in the Mahayana traditions, mainly they do meditations. In Mahayana traditions, mainly, yes, they do meditation plus the Buddha name, mantra, and so forth. It's more elaborations practice. Yeah, so okay, view of the Buddha as is only one Buddha, but in the Mahayana traditions, this what we call celestial Buddhas, celestial Bodhisattva. There's many or limitless Buddha in the past, in the present, and future. That's what about. So the idea is that in the Zen traditions, everyone can be Buddha. But in the Rao traditions, only one Buddha. You see it's different? I want to keep you that kind of idea. And of course, everyone can achieve the arhatship, but to be arhat, you have to be to achieve to the highest level of arhatship. You have to be monks alone. So that's the limitation of the tradition there. And that's what here. I did have to strive, reject the idea of heaven figure and so forth. And here, based on the turn of the wheel, okay, start from the 1st until the 8th century. Okay, this Mahayana text. These are the important texts that have influence on the teaching of Buddhism in the East, especially in Zen traditions. For example, for this Proto Sutra, the Buddha say that, okay, I've been Buddha for limitless lifetimes, and everyone can be Buddha, and even later I will show you the part that whoever comes to the temple just put your palm, put his palm together like this. The Buddha say, I will bestow them to be a Buddha in the future. So the idea is, especially in the Zen traditions, everyone has that potential, the Buddha nature, and everyone can be Buddha. That's the whole idea. It's quite different from the revelation that you need to sit there or to do meditation, and you need to be Buddhist monks and nuns in order to achieve to a high state of hardship. But in Mahayana tradition, it's quite different. No, you don't need to be a monk and nun. You can be a lay person, and you can practice meditation anytime, any place. And the ultimate goal is for Mahayana tradition again to become a Buddha, like actually Buddha himself. That's the idea that the Lotus Sutra about. Okay, I elaborate the doctrine of emptiness. I will touch briefly about that because that's so important. Later on, that probably the next few weeks we talk about Zen tradition, and you have to understand this. Otherwise, be confused. Okay, here, the first one, Mahayana tradition. Some Buddha is mean the fully enlightened Buddha, and Bodhisattva can accomplish it, or anyone can accomplish it. But of course, through limit lifetimes of practice. Even in the Mahayana or Theravada traditions, we have the course of the Buddha past life, the second Buddha past life, that through many lifetimes he had practiced what we call Bodhisattva past. Yes?
So I have a question. So I know in Japanese Buddhism there's like different deities, like the wrathful Buddha, and, you know.
That's not Buddha. That's what we call Bodhisattva or what they call the Dharma protector, like bodyguards. But they're not Buddha yet.
Mm-hmm. So they're like on the path there. And
yes, and some of them they made their vows to become that kind of figures. Like you have security guys, that's their jobs. They refer to protect people. That's what we call Dharma protectors.
But they're equally as important.
No, not necessarily. Necessarily equally, but it is dependent upon their blessing and wisdom. It depends upon their vows too. So that doesn't make a difference. Alright, so glad that you bring up that, because here in the class we don't talk much about Buddhism, but still in the Buddhist class, this is one of the topic. But here again, the idea is that everyone can have the abilities, but it takes time. It takes time for you to get your degree, right? Yeah, from high school to college, you may need to have at least 2 years to finish up your associate degree, or 4 years for your bachelor, and so forth. So it takes time, but still, yes.
So how long will it take? I know you said it takes time, but how long would you say the average person would take to achieve that?
To become Buddha?
Yeah, in your experience. Like, how long would you say?
It is many lifespan. It's many lifespan again and again. This is like, but it's like a drop of water. Eventually you will pour the cup of water. Eventually you will pour a water bottle and so forth. So it takes time, bit by bit. And of course, in Mahayana traditions, it's go beyond that too. What they call the certain enlightenment and gradual enlightenment. That's the articles I asked you to write about. The certain enlightenment. That means if you recognize yourself as a Buddha, if you recognize your Buddha nature there and you live with that, you're Buddha there. And in the Tibetan traditions, they have some kind of visualization that they visualize themselves as a certain type of Buddha, like Compassionate Buddhas, with any type Buddha that they like to be like them. For example, some of you or most of you like some celebrities, right? Right, Vidana or whoever, I don't know, right? Your model there. You like to be that as that person. You think about that person and you act like that person too. So there's the visualization in the Tibetan tradition. This is more elaborate. So that's what we call the external enlightenment. Yeah, later we learn this is for few weeks you know more about this. Okay, so that's one. And teacher enlightenment can be attained in a single lifetime too. But of course, that's ideal. But in reality, it takes time. Why? Because we have so much emotional problems in our mind. We could not filter out with this lifetime. We have a lot of habit. Like for example, let's say if someone get into the habit of smoking, can they give up overnight?
No.
No way. It takes times. Not talking about drugs, not talking about alcohol, right? That's just the harmful habit, right? But we have some kind of habit too. Let's say someone have a habit to stay late, right? It's not easy for you to change that habit when you get into with that kind of momentum. It's not easy. So again, it takes time to get out bit by bit. Right? And that's why in the meditation practice, when we, let's say it's simultaneous, let's say when we're eating them, or most of the time, right, we ask each other, do you like this food, do you like that food, and so forth. It's common sense, right? But when you think, oh, I like this and that, what happened then? That's it. Makes sense? So what happened with attachment? If you have that, you enjoy, you want more and more. When you don't have that, you suffer. You understand that? But if you're free, okay, whichever food that put on the table is edible, and that's okay, and enjoy, that's all. So be free. But not easy. Right? It's not easy to overcome that kind. Even some kind of the food that's because then ask of favor. See that? That's why it takes time. But still it can accomplish. And here, this is the early Buddha statue.
I actually like that one.
You like it?
Yeah, like a lot more than the more recent.
The first century. Okay, now here again. And the idea in Mahayana tradition is that they postpone nirvana. Postpone means that they accomplish that state of mind. They could control their emotions, but they still be here to help you out. That's the idea. Make sense? Right. So especially in the Zen traditions, that many Zen masters, they stay in the forest, the mountain for many years to practice. After they pacify their mind and they calm down to help people. That's what we call Mahayana there. So instead of staying in seclusion and enjoy the blissfulness of that state of mind, that's what the idea is about. And they use skillful means, anyways to help people. Like when you ask your children to sit down for meditation, for example, right? If they say, no, I cannot sit still, you say, well, why don't you sit for 5 minutes? I give you $5, right? And they say, okay, I will sit for 5 minutes so that I can get $5. So it's a skillful means to help them to cool down their mind. That's what it's about then. So again, this Thoban Sugar tells that Buddha had practiced Buddhist practice for many lifetimes. Okay, again, instead of working toward become an arhat, to liberate themselves, they work for others. That's the idea. Okay. So again, in Mahayana, there's many levels of Bodhisattva. From each initial one to the highest one, we have about 51 stages, 51 levels of Mahayana, of Bodhisattva. The meaning is that whenever you help others, while you helping yourself, that's the idea of Bodhisattva there. Alright, and again, it's not only for the monastics, but for everyone. So I want to emphasize that in the Theravada traditions, the emphasis is more on the monastics, more on the monks and nuns. That's why you see that in those Theravada countries, so the lay people, they support the monks and nuns to do practice. For them, their job is to have financial support or material support to the monks and nuns, but they don't do much about meditations. But now, of course, it's a little bit different, but that's the idea. But in meditation, it's quite different. Monks and nuns are lay people, they still can practice meditations. Here, I just want to go over again too. So after the Buddha passed away, 4th century, that means start around 4th century there, and that's why they say the Theravada, they use it from Hinayana. That means the small vehicle. That means they just have themselves. Mahayana, that means the great vehicles, or red means have people. That's what the difference. So, according to Mahayana traditions, this is 3 turning wheel, turning up the wheel. That means 3 periods that the Buddha taught. The first one is the Four Noble Truths. That's every tradition recognized, so that the Buddhists could practice to achieve Nirvana. That's the first wheel, the first Dhamma wheel. That's the Four Noble Truths. And the second one is what they call the doctrine of Sunyata or emptiness. And here, from now to the next few weeks, you encounter this kind of term many times, especially in your writing too, your reading and writing. What's meant by emptiness? We go over briefly. And this starts with the Paramita Sutra or the Wisdom Sutra. It's the initial, but it's this monk, Narajuna. This was considered as the second Buddha who initiated these traditions. And he developed what's called the Mayamika, that means the middle path too. Here, what it means? There is no distinction between Nirvana and Samsara. Do you understand that? Here, black, white, daytimes and night times, right? Male and female, what they call duality, right? 2 sides of coins. So for him, that is just what they call conventional truth. You understand? Conventional, that's the thing. When we talk, we have male, that means we have female. We have day, that means we have nighttime, and so forth. This is 2 opposite poles. That is what called conventional ways. But here, he said that ultimate happiness is to go beyond that state of nirvana as samsara. Samsara means the cycle of rebirth. It is talked about is physical overview, but later on I will explain for you the practice too. Ultimate goal is the freedom from suffering and to achieve what Buddhahood, to become Buddha here. Okay. And here, the idea here, Nirvana is not something that we have to try to attain. This we have there, what we call Buddha nature. This is there. In Buddhism, we start with that goodness nature. In our tradition, it starts with sin, right? Is that right? In Christian or Catholic tradition, we start with when you were born, you have sin. But in Buddhist view, when you're born, even animals, whichever beings, you have that Buddha nature. You have that good nature there. So that's the idea. Idea is for you to do meditation. The only thing we do is just let go of emotions. Like we look at the sky. When the clouds come, it covers the sun, the sunlight, that's all. When the clouds fade away, so we see the sunlight, like today. So that's the whole idea there. And the emptiness here, it represents the cycle, a circle here. You guys have understand what's mean emptiness in Buddhism? Have you read this part yet? You understand what's mean emptiness? Right, so empty, everything is empty. Have you encountered this term before? No? Okay, I will explain briefly. Okay, it's based upon this conventional truth and ultimate truth, a conventional wisdom, ultimate wisdom. Here, it's so applicable. If you don't understand, it's a bit confusion, but if you understand, it's be applicable. Let's say you have good thought and bad thought, right? That's conventional. Is that right? In a split second, we have good thought. Another second, we have bad thought. Opposite poles, good and bad. But when we play, what happens? What we play around with the good thought and bad thoughts? In psychology, right? Somehow they try to encourage the patient, especially the depression patient, to have a positive mind. Is that right? But what happens when you try to generate a positive mind? What happens with your negative mind? It's still there?
It gets suppressed.
It
gets suppressed. It's still there.
Suppressed?
You don't really get to work things out.
So could you handle, could you keep or maintain that positive mind, positive attitude with that methods?
It always comes back eventually.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the one I want to say. Okay, here. Positive, negative. It's two poles, right? Two poles, two sides of the course. You want to increase the levels or the weight of the positive, and you want to decrease the level of negative thought. What happened there? It's still there. Is that right? This negative, even you want to suppress it, I say, oh, I don't want to think about that stuff. This is junk. This bothers me. I'm so angry when I have that thought. I want to express. I want to run away from this. What happened then? But the more you try to run away from them, the more they follow you. Is that right? So that's why these two poles interchangeable, right? In meditation, you go beyond this one. You don't think about positive. You don't think about. You don't. Whenever the positive thought come up, you recognize. Whenever the negative thought like anger and so forth, you recognize and let it go. There's no decision. That is the way you go beyond what we call ultimate truth here. That's the ultimate wisdom there. You understand that? There's one story that one monk, he approached to the sixth patriarch, the Zen master in Zen tradition, and asked for a teaching. So the sixth Zen master said that if you don't think good, or if you don't think bad, or this means if you don't have good thought about thought, who are you? You understand that? So who are you then? Who are you when you don't have good thought about thought? Who are you?
You're free.
Huh?
You're free.
You're free. And the essence is your Buddha nature. Let's go beyond this kind of good, positive, negative thought. That's your nature. Imagine, no, forget about the Buddha nature, forget about that. Alright, for a while. But let me tell you, let me point out for you, and you can recognize much easier. The moment when you sit there, of course, if you don't suppress anything, or if you don't generate any thought, but you sit there and calm without any thought, are you free? You understand that? You'll be free. And you feel more calm. That's why last time I asked you, when you were sitting or walking or standing and so forth, what was your feeling, right? If you still have the feeling, you think about your feeling, what is good or bad, you still get stuck there. But if you go beyond that, or you don't think, or somehow your mind is calm down or settle down, there's no good thought and bad thought, that's peaceful mind there. But that's clarity there. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's the point. That's the thing. That's why we talk about this wavelength of thought, right? That's here. When we stay away from this positive or negative, that's our nature. That's what they call Buddha nature here. That's what in Mahayana traditions is about. When we talk about principle, theory, this is maybe lofty, but in the practical sense, when you calm your mind without playing around with positive and negative, this is your Buddha nature here. This peacefulness here, everlasting happiness here, and that's your nature there. Okay, all right. So that's what we talk about. Conventional, I guess, mean the two poles, dualities. Ultimately, this go beyond that. One thing is emptiness here. Let me see here. Emptiness, the meaning is, remember, we talk about the five aggregates, right? Our body has a form, the feeling, remember that? The perception, the mental formation, and the consciousness. So in Buddhist view, in Buddhist psychology, we split out or separate this type of elements, aggregates, until the point that there's no real self. But because of the conditions come together, that we still alive. For example, what happens if we don't have any more food to eat, if we don't have anything to drink, even if we don't have even the air is so polluted, we cannot breathe anymore. We could not survive here. Make sense? The only reason why we survive up to now because of this kind of conditions that involve together, like the food, the drink, the air, and so forth, right? And look at the computer or laptop. There's many parts, right? There's motor, board, and so forth. Even your cars, if you break them out, part by part, if you take them part by part, there's nothing to call a car. There's nothing to call a computer. But when we put them together, yes, conventionally we say, oh, this is computer, this is a chair, this is a table, this is the car, and so forth. So that's what we call emptiness. Emptiness is in the meanings of there's no real sense of independent entities. That's the meaning. This means that there's nothingness. That's not the meaning. But the emptiness here is there's no real independent entities of anything, from our physical body up to the environment or even our mind too. Of course, so that we can recognize it lead to go back to that kind of Buddha nature here, and we come to understand that. And here, like the example that even the Buddha has attained in Nirvana, but still he worked. He taught many people. That's why many people who still benefit from his teachings. That's why we have the Bodhisattva path too. And Nirvana again, there does mean extinction, but extinction of misery, of cause and effect. You're free come and go. You have that kind of freedom. If you don't attach to it mentally or physically, that's the ideal one. If you don't attach to it, you stay with this Buddha nature, and your mind would not be frustrated with good or bad, positive, negative, and so forth. Okay, so and again, let's just talk about the nature of the Nirvana too. That's only when you have that kind of state of mind, you recognize us. Again, some of the Indian writers, they misunderstand about what they call Sundaya, as mean emptiness. As I told you, this is not nihilism, but this is about the interdependence of things. That's what I talk about. Being indestructible, nature of phenomena, things cannot be said to be either real or unreal. It's go beyond that kind of attachment, right? And that is the kind of relativities. So again, with that type of emptiness principle there's a highest truth, cannot be despreciable. And that's why, especially in Zen tradition, sometimes you may hear some story that a student came to seek a teaching from the master, and it just sat there, didn't say anything. And somehow after that, the student realized some kind of what we call non-talking, non-verbal explanation. Sometimes if you know certain people, like your friends, your relatives, and so forth, you don't need to talk much. Through your action, is right? Through your action, through the way you do, they could recognize what you want to talk, what you want to express about. So that's what. All right. So again, let's just talk about this one thing go beyond the matter in the physical ways. Even in what we call empty space, that means even we have the particle, if we split up until it's nothingness. But it's still there. It doesn't mean this is nothingness. That's what the idea of emptiness is about. Not only is things empty, but emotion of emptiness is empty. You guys know quantum physics? You know? You don't know much. If you go to engineer at school, you have engineering degree, you have to learn that quantum physics is talk about something. This is the particles that go beyond. When you split up the particles, and we say this become nothingness, but still is still there, and so that's why somehow this kind of Buddhist emptiness principle is so similar with compatible with nowadays quantum physics. Okay, again, the last one is so important. Now, the third turning Dharma was the Tathagata's doctrine of Buddha nature, like I told you. That Buddha say that here, this one here. Here the first, the nine consciousness, the first sense, five sense, right? The ears, the nose, the tongue, the body. So we have the touch, the taste, the sight, the hearing, the smell. And these are the first five consciousness. And the sixth consciousness, that's control the 5 of them. And the second consciousness, this is like the attachment to the self. And the 8th consciousness is like the, remember I told you the karmic storehouse. We store every information from the past, the present, and future. But in Buddhist view, the last one here, the pure nature, the Buddha nature is encompass every sentient beings. Everyone has that, even the dog, even the cat and so forth. So that's why in Zen tradition there's one famous Kongan, he said, that asks whether the dog has Buddha nature or no. So some monks say yes, some monks say no, depend upon the state of mind, the views of that particular person. Okay, here. And the Buddha natures present in everything that exists. That's why everyone is potential Buddha. And I told you, Buddhism starts with that hard still thought. Everyone has that type of potential. Like everyone has potential to become a doctor, to become a teacher, professors, right? Regardless of genders, race, and so forth. So even Buddhism goes beyond human realms, even animals, even the dog, the cat, the bird, and so forth. They still have that kind of Buddha nature too. Buddha nature. Here, that's why here Buddha nature appear in any living beings who have contact with Buddhas. His teaching still have that type of potential. And here, all peoples have reached a level of Buddhahood. Those who are the second Buddhas install image or having them kept and so forth. So let's just start with in the Lotus Sutra. I told you that. And so in the meantime, in the sense that we have our good side and bad side, right? Because of emotions, because of attachment, because of anger, those emotions cover up our mind. That's why we could not develop that kind of Buddha nature in the whole way. So again, that's an important concept, because when we talk about Zen tradition, they don't talk much about the first state of the first jhana, second step jhana, and so forth and so forth. They just taking the whole pictures. Alright, so I want to emphasize that so that you can understand the whole concept before we talk more about Zen tradition too. Alright, with Buddha nature, the ability to awaken from the dreams of ignorance. Everyone has that potential. That's what idea is about. Everyone has that kind of nature in our mind. All embodied beings are constantly endowed with the essence of Buddha. That's what he's talking about. A Buddha is in a decayed lotus, harnessed abyss as one beast, transmit his thirst, go covered by filth, precious treasure underground, a potential of a seed in a fruit, and even an unborn child who will be the king of present in the poor woman's wombs. So that's the idea there. Right? The purpose of teachings is to recognize that, to understand that, to accept that. Here. So I cannot become enlightened. I am the best. Good qualities. Always, all of us has that type of good qualities, because we don't know how to develop that, and also depend upon the condition and tradition, our environment too. I remember that it's many years ago. I think when I was a layman, I watched a movie. It's talk about a drug dealers. So somehow he made the plan to assassinate a policeman who followed him. So one day he followed his car. He followed that policeman's car and ready to shoot him. But on that policeman's car, at that time he didn't wear the uniform. He took his wives and daughter to go out somewhere else. So the drug dealers, okay, like the two cars, right? The drug dealers followed the cars, and he took out a gun to shoot the driver. That's when the policeman there. But somehow on the back windshield, he saw little girls pop up. You know, the children they pop up and look in the back of the windshield. So the drug dealers didn't shoot him because of that little girls. He felt probably more compassion toward that little girls. Of course, not the policeman. You understand that? So the point I want to say is that even the criminals one still have some kind of compassionate mind, compassionate thought with themselves. Okay, so that's what talking about. That's what kind of potential there. Yeah. So we should become a Buddha, respect others as if they were Buddhas. That's the whole idea. That's why we need to respect everyone. Not equally, but still they have the potential to become. They look at the children, right? They may become president, whoever they want to be in the future. So that's what Buddhists feel. Wisdom that know that the four do not exist by their own nature. Wisdom that understand the qualities are innate. That we inherit that kind of loving kindness, that kind of compassion. This is there. That only depends upon how we live our life, how we live in that type of environment. If we live in the environment that enhance that skill, that kind of potential, we can help others, right? But if we live in the environment that may obstruct encourage us to do so much violence, so we could not develop that type of loving kindness or compassion in a full way. So that's the whole idea. And here it starts with the idea of what they call Mahayana Buddha Trikaya. That means this is the Mahayana philosophy, not the Theravada. Right? So they specify the Buddha in three forms. The first one, the human form, like Shakyamuni Buddha, historical Buddhas. And second one is the eternal Buddha. This means the one who attain that type of level, that kind of state of mind, Buddhahood state of mind. The last one, the ultimate Buddha. This means the Buddha nature. That's everyone has us. Let me explain for you again. What they call the Dhammakaya. That means the Dhamma body of Buddha nature. That's exists within animals, any sentient beings. And second one is Sambhogaya. That means the one who have achieved to the Buddhahood, that have that kind of psychic power and so forth. And Ninagaya, that means the historical Buddha. That's the whole idea here. Okay, so I want to review this thing so that you can understand why Zen tradition emphasize on activate your Buddha nature, your good nature, not to live with your mundane, to live with your emotions. That's the whole idea. Okay, so how about any question? You follow? All right, how about take 3 minutes on meditation? 3 years, okay, right? Not too long, not too short, right? Okay.
Perfect.
All right, good.
Goldilocks.
Huh?
It's like Goldilocks.
Oh, okay.
Just right.
So let's 3 minutes, and again, it's up to you. You can count, you can follow your breath, or basically just be mindful with your breath. So. Okay. So again, don't think anything whether it's good or bad, or whichever thought pop up, just accept them. Just be mindful with your breath. and relax yourself. Okay, let me hit the bell to start and the Buddha to start. Okay. How you feel? You feel sleepy? Or feel okay, refresh your mind?
Refresh. Yeah, I feel good.
Okay, so that's why I want to explain to you this kind of idea. This is so practical, especially when you're ready to take the test. It's not easy. It's not easy to let go even the thought of preparation. Is alright. You may spend many hours or days to memorize terms, paragraphs, and so forth, right? But what happened if when you sit there to take a test, while you take a test and you try to remember, the thing I want to emphasize is you try to generate your mind to remember things. What happened? There may be disruption, little bit disturbance. Make sense? So the point is try to go beyond that. Let them go. So that when you see your question, oh, on the spot, oh, this is I learned already. So you can answer it much easier. Because when you generate that kind of thought, the thought that you want to remember things so that you can do the test, they block your mind out. So whether it's positive or negative, it still block your mind. It's like curtain. Or whether it's just plastic or wood, it still block your mind. So that's why one sister, Zen Patrus, when he just heard the sutra, or part of the Dhamma Sutra, and that part Dhamma Sutra say, don't rely on the forms to generate your mind. Don't rely on the sound to generate your mind. To rely on nothingness to generate your mind. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
What's mean? Why don't rely on the forms, on the sound to generate your mind? Why?
Because I guess that's not your true nature of anything. It's things that are changing that you have no control of. But at least we know that we have control of ourselves. And we should be able to have faith in ourselves to do what we need to do when needed.
So like if we rely upon, let's say, the sound, right? Or the sound of people praise us, people put us down, so what happens? Emotion follow. If we rely upon the forms, whether it's beautiful and so forth, it's still up our emotions. So if we go beyond that sound, go beyond that forms, go beyond that taste, we'll be free. That's the nature there. When that calmness, that clarity in Buddhist view, that's Buddha nature there. So from time to time I tell you Zen story, but unless you study, you will not understand for common people. But you can type Zen story for your neighbors on the internet. This is a lot of funny story. That if people don't understand the meaning of the philosophy behind, it's nonsense. But it's just take a lot. It has meaning there. Alright, so I want to go again to lose what we call the true body, or what the Buddha nature. That's what every one of us has. What the Dhammakaya. The body, that's a blissful body, that enlightened one. That's like Buddha have attained. And the physical body of the Buddha. Right here, that's what we talk about, the Trikaya. So you see, in meditation, they split out, or they generalize, or categorize in that type of three bodies. Right? So, but the last one, the Dhamma body, is everyone has us. But the other one, like the historical one, that's that we have Shakyamuni Buddha. I sit here. That's what here. In Theravada traditions, we have only historical Buddha, but in Mahayana, it's this physical body, true body, and enjoyment body here. Right? So that's why I told you. That's why in Zen tradition, or even in the Tibetan traditions, they have that kind of practice. They visualize themselves as an embodiment of Santa Buddha, and so that they live with that, they act or behave like that type of Bodhisattva or Buddhas. That's the ideal one. And then later on, the other developments of Buddhism, like the mind consciousness school and so forth. Here. So again, I want to review. That's the important Buddhist theme: balance, toward the middle way. Go beyond or toward the middle way. Stay away from good or bad. You be said. There's a balance there. No attachment. Everything is transitory. no desire, no ego. If you have attachment to ego, you're free. Oneness, you'll be one of everything's part of us. And that's why you know the circle, there's no starting point, no ending points. One is always one, that's the idea here. And this is then it's focused on emptiness, not emptiness, but recognize that type of nature within ourselves and focus on the experiential perspective, not too much with the reading. That's what the Zen is about. And of course, we talk about the Zazen, the sitting, koan. We talk about that later on. The topic of meditations leading to satori's or the awakening. And when Buddhism reached China, it merged with native Taoist philosophy. Taoist is talk about non-doing. I will cover if we have times in the last part 2. And this is school of Mahayana. Zen is start from jhana. Remember, you know, with the word jhana. Remember the first jhana, second. And so that is the jhana is in the Pali. Dhyana is means Sanskrit. And when this go to China, it is transliterated by Chan. And when it spread to Japan, it becomes Zen. So the word Zen is more popular in the West, right? You have Zen iPad, right? Zen cell phone and so forth, right? That's work for. But they say start with Bodhidharma, but actually, meditation start in the early times when Buddhism spread to China and all this country. Actually, the sutra, the breath sutra. Remember I told you last few weeks. It spread to China at the 1st or 2nd century. And of course, many groups of monks they practice meditation too. But when Bodhidharma went to China, again, it's become more popular. Here, I explain too, beyond words, beyond logical thinking. I mean, the more you think, right, the more fluctuations your emotions fall. So that's why you need to go to the midway, and you have to experience that. Not talking. If you try to understand by word or by reading, you could not recognize us until you come and practice. That's what the whole idea is for. Freedom from thought. Remember, but good thought, bad thought, let them go. Feeling too, emotion, ego, and so forth. Just pure experience of things. Pure, remember I told you, pure attention or bare attention. That is what it's about. Just sitting up the way they are. Look at this pencil, just pencil. If you try to analyze, of course, you, as a student, you need to analyze, but still, the more we analyze things, the more fluctuation in our minds is about. So that's the whole idea. And then in the school, northern school, southern school, and we go to talk in the next few weeks at the, what do you call the, here, drive with enlightenment and sudden enlightenment. Again, what's mean? Let me go back to you. What's mean by sudden enlightenment? What's mean gradual enlightenment? Do you have an idea?
I think I wrote about it yesterday. Isn't sudden enlightenment is instead of really practicing and focusing the mind and concentrating, just to delve deep into mindfulness, because it is our nature to be compassionate and loving and kind. So it is in us. So I guess there's no. The way I saw it was the fact that we are born with the nature of mindfulness, that it shouldn't take, or we shouldn't practice it like gradualism thinks, that instead that we should just go head on and just be mindful. That's what I gained.
Okay, anyone? Where's the difference? Time to time we talk about that, especially there's two main traditions in Zen. they split out Buddhist to practice. Yes.
One is like saying that you can like become enlightened very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Another saying that you have to spend a long period of time practicing before you can.
Okay. So can you give one example of sudden enlightenment or gradual enlightenment? Example. Like you get that's pretty good example. How about the other one is more obvious? Any thinking? A sudden enlightenment was when?
Just suddenly
It just
become,
happened.
like,
It just happened.
Okay. It's happened. I think it happens to all of us. Sometimes suddenly we recognize that is
like old
light bulb. You know Newton, right?
Yes.
The apple
Yeah.
that dropped on his head, right?
Mhm.
And I just read articles about Einstein. He discovered or recognized the theories of relativity while he was riding bicycle. So when you think about that, when you have that kind of thought in your mind, suddenly you recognize that the light bulb, right? That's just called sudden enlightenment, sudden awakening. Right? But how about the graduate awakening, graduate enlightenment? What's about?
That is what you've been, I guess, what you practiced and what you expect us to. What we practiced on Saturday
Yeah.
is to get our mind into the state and then, I guess, cultivate and practice and concentrate and make it, I guess, into a study of anything, like we're studying to be mindful.
Yeah, the step by step, right? Step by step, learning that kind of skill, right? We cannot come from the street and sit there and somehow we come down on the spot. No, it's the times. It's that time to set out all the particles, all the confusion in our mind, so that we can have that kind of clarity. That's what talk about the two schools, the brothers and the uncertain enlightenment, and that's here. Rinzai and Soto, and we will learn in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. And that is what is stressed on the practice too. Obedience, passive direct, personal for master student, and it go beyond the writing, so that we will not attach even to the words. It requires experience. The techniques again depend upon each individual. Sometimes it's sitting in silence. Sometimes, especially in the Rinzai traditions, it starts with a monk. His name is Linji. His style is, of course, now is outdated. His style is to hit his student. Yeah, while they sitting there, if they fall asleep, he uses a stick to hit them. To wake them up, or he yell at them too. His style, and every master has different style. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's weak, sometimes it's soft. So like the professor, teachers, everyone has different style, teaching style, right? Someone is so strict, right? Someone is so understandable and so forth. So it depends upon the skill of the master. And this is today I don't talk much about the articles that I assigned you to read, but I give you this kind of information so that you have the whole general idea why Zen traditions started in China. So it relates to Taoism, because without absorption of Taoist practice, Buddhism would not be survived in China, because Taoism and Confucianism exist concurrently, commentaries with Buddhism there. So somehow in Taoism it talk about non-action. It talk about Wu Wei, non-dual and effortlessness. You don't need to do anything. You go with the flow. It's similar to the Buddhist practice. You sit there, go with the flow with your breath. And that's easy for the Taoist people, for the Chinese people to understand and get the idea or accept the Buddhist practice there. It's good to be like water, nourished without effort, without contention into low place and so forth. That's just what they call go with the Tao, go with the flow there. You go beyond sensation, beyond thought, beyond imagination, beyond, it's similar. Go beyond the past negative thought. That's why they absorb Buddhism into the Chinese tradition much easier. And that's the idea there. The tongue shall less, goes are less, is similar. And that's why they say that the Zen tradition is a byproduct of the combination of Buddhism and Taoism. Actually, it's not a byproduct. It's like the assimilation of Buddhism into the Chinese culture. So I want today to give you this kind of broad and general ideas of how Zen tradition started in China. So next week we'll talk about the practice of Zen, the theories of Zen. Let's see here. Yeah, this is week here. Yeah, Chan school, philosophy and practice in detail. Okay. So you guys have any question? You done with your? If you have idea of your topic yet?
Yeah.
What's your topic about?
At first I was going to do like go into like more into the 6 superpowers and stuff like that, and like how it applies to your life. But then I kind of want to explore more of what we're gonna learn.
Okay.
To see if I might see something I like.
Oh, sure, no problem.
So yeah.
It can be changeable, but
You can change it?
no, you can change.
Okay.
Yeah, this is your learning, my learning. So yeah.
Is this a rough draft?
Yeah, rough draft. You can change. That's okay. As much as you feel comfortable, as long as you enjoy your topic to write. Remember, it's not for me, but for you.
So if, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you go.
So if we choose something now and when we get to the end of the semester, we want to choose another topic, can we do that?
I don't mind.
Okay.
As long as you're on time.
Okay.
I don't mind. Yeah, I continue I put on the syllabus because sometimes the students wait for last minute to think. But if you during the course of this class, if something pop up and you like it, you can change it. I don't mind that because you write so that you can understand and recognize for your life. This my teaching style. I like you to enjoy after this. Remember after this class, not to go to class, study and dumb down. Throw out of your mind because it's part of your life. The techniques is helpful for your life. When you deal with those kind of emotions, those kind of problems, even you can share with your relatives, your friends, and whoever. So at least you can maintain that kind of peaceful and happiness for yourself. So that's my meaning. So I don't mind. Even the last week of a semester, you can change. You want to change your topic, but as long as you give me paper, that's all. I don't mind. Remember that. That's for you.
When will we be going over karma? I don't think I might do it over karma. Will we be touching karma this semester?
If something related with meditation,
Okay.
let's say how meditation can change your karma, that's okay.
Okay.
How let's say noble truth, I focus related with meditation. So meditation is the primary topic, another one is subtopic.
Right.
You understand that? So anything that relates to meditation, okay. So that's why I like you guys to enjoy the class, enjoy your writing and studying. So see you then.